looks like you're already on camera for some reason. I don't know why. Um, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me double check with Juanita. Are we already on camera? We are. Okay, so if I could get everybody to get settled, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, it's all you, dude.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephen Heiding. I am one of your trustee members on the board. I want to welcome everyone joining us here in person. There's a lot of you, which is really exciting, and virtually via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Today's service is going to be a bit different than our usual Sunday service, as we're installing our own Reverend Julia Robles Scott. Can everyone thank you? And she will be our new staff minister. So let's get started with our processional. Microphone way closer. All right. Okay, so Lori Stitt, our Sierra CSL licensed practitioner. Deborah Ellis, Sierra CSL licensed practitioner. Reverend Madeline Weiss, our CSL assistant sister. Reverend Rafe Ellis, our very own Sierra CSL senior minister. And none other than Reverend Julia Robles Scott, our Sierra CSL staff minister.
Things are very different this morning, so we need a script.
I need a script.
I made some changes. My bad.
Oh, wait, is us singing?
Go with the flow.
All right.
Oddly enough.
Goodness gracious. Well, that's what we do. So we did just get back from Hawaii for a little trip back home. We're very excited to be back there. And this song that we're doing first was written during the lava flow in 2014 when lava was coming at Pahoa town. And a lot of people were leaving and other people were praying and we were going with the flow.
The medicine applies widely, though.
Nobody knows of the future never
There we go. So this is not our normal Sunday service. So we're all a little bit, what are we doing? So I'm going to start with our announcements. And we will tell you about who we are as a community in a little bit. So I want to start with our announcements. We are obviously open and here in person. And you may have noticed coming through the door that we have our little bead system. And that is so you do not have to have the same conversation over and over again with everyone that's in here. If you want folks to stay distanced from you, if you'd prefer they wear a mask when they interact with you, you can wear a red strand of beads. If you're figuring it out one person at a time, and you would rather them have a conversation with you from a distance to figure it out, you can wear a yellow strand of beads. And if you're good with people in close proximity, handshakes, hugs, no masks, you can wear a green strand of beads. If you want to create a little safe barrier on either side of you, you're welcome to grab one of the "Do Not Sit in This Seat" placards on your way in, put one on either side, and that communicates that. It's been working beautifully. Some folks have actually asked if we can keep it long after COVID is a blip in the rearview mirror. Because not everybody likes to be approached and hugged no matter what. So we may, the introverts may have a loud voice in this one. We'll see what happens. We have a fun way to learn science of mind. I created 45 crossword puzzles using the glossary of the science of mind, a philosophy of faith, a way of life. And so you can purchase them. You can purchase them one, which is priced at 10 cents a word, and they vary because depending on how many words are under that letter of the alphabet, depends on how many words are in that puzzle. Or you can purchase them in banks of the whole alphabet, which I believe is 23 puzzles. And that whole bank you can purchase for $35. You can purchase a bank of 22 random puzzles for $35, or you can purchase the whole set of 45 for $50. They're on our website and on our Square store. We've started a First Friday Fun event to kind of create ways for community to come back together. So June 3rd, our very own music director, Jeff Wright, will be providing an evening of written songs that he's written and spoken word. That happens on Friday, June 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll have some tables set up. We encourage you to bring your dinner if you would like and have dinner while you enjoy that time of community. We also have some refreshments that are available for purchase. Walking with the Rev. Been doing this for a while, and some of you are aware that Deborah and I have to relocate here within Nevada County. We're moving from Nevada City to Grass Valley, and so I am suspending Walking with the Rev until July because I'm going to be a little busy moving. And so that will restart, and when we restart it in July, we're going to move it up an hour to 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. so that it's a little cooler. And so instead of walking with the Rev, you are invited to move in the Rev. You like that segue? No? This was actually the idea of one of our finance committee members, that a way to help create community is invite people to help move us. So we're figuring out what that's going to look like. If you have some availability, reach out, either give me a call, shoot me an email, tell me what your availability is, and we will do our best to work our schedule around yours, because that's what we need help looks like. All right, what else am I supposed to announce? That's it. Okay, so I'm going to kick it over to our musicians, our beloved guest musicians, Love Eternal, for our next song, My Cup.
So a lot of the songs, we usually we'll choose our songs in the moment. But our beloved new minister here chose the songs for us, and we felt so touched that you could tell she actually went through and listened. I mean, we got 100 songs online. She went through and picked them out, so we just said yes.
Yes, very
However,
exciting.
some of these we have not done since the recording studio with our full band.
They don't sound like the album.
So you are going to experience something brand new here, and we're not even sure how it's going to be, but I'm sure it'll be
We're
blessed.
going with the flow.
So we're going to shift gears here a bit. We're going to talk about our community value. We have 7 of them, and we highlight one every Sunday morning. And it just so happens that the community value this morning is community. I would love to take credit for planning that, but I did not. And I will simply say, this is what community looks like. Take a breath in together. This is what community feels like. And while it is fabulous and we love to have, hello folks virtually, we love that you're there with us, something different happens when we share the same space. Something different happens. And so I encourage you, if you're here now, to consider being here later. We're here every Sunday, and we would love to see you every Sunday that works for you. And that's all I'm going to say about community, because a lot more is coming. So here's what's going to happen now. We're going to take a moment. I'm going to ring the bell 3 times and then invite you to join me in 3 ohms into a time of meditation. And one of our licensed practitioners, Deborah Ellis, will come lead us in our opening spiritual mind treatment, which is just simply a form of affirmative prayer. And then she will lead us in our affirmation. And then one of our other practitioners, Lori Stitt, will lead us in
together reading the Declaration of Principles. So I invite you to just go with it.
next breath to be a little bit deeper than the one before. Recognizing that this very breath is the sacred and holy breath of all of life. It is that interconnectedness that fills all spaces throughout time. It is an eternal breath that is breathing life right now. It is perfect joy, perfect peace, perfect love, deep and abiding love. And I recognize that this deep and abiding love that is present right here in this very room is revealing and healing in the most glorious and powerful ways, in and through and as all that is seen and all that is unseen. This power and presence, this mighty power and presence, is breathing me right now. And so it's from this place of truth that I joyfully speak a word of blessing for this morning, for this gathering of beloved community, as we come together to celebrate, to know in greater and grander ways all that we are. And as we feel the excitement of our love for our beloved Reverend Julia, we just revel in this supreme love that is reigning supreme right here, right now. And so I know that this service, this time together in ceremony and celebration is already ordained. It is done in the mind of the One. And it is unfolding exquisitely in and through our very breath, this breath that we share, this breath of life. And so I'm so thankful, so grateful to know this truth and to speak this word this morning. So we just take a breath in and feel the gratitude of every subatomic happening at every level of life. And we know that we are not separate from any of it. And so we just allow it to have its way with us this morning and beyond. And I just simply anchor this now in the alchemy of love and just let it be. And I say, and so it is. Good morning, beloveds. Look how beautiful you all look. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. All right, so my name is Deborah Ellis, and I am privileged to be one of your licensed practitioners here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. So welcome, welcome everyone online, welcome everyone in the room, and we're so grateful and glad that you're here this morning. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read our affirmation, and then we'll read it together. All right. At the center of anger is peace and calm. At the center of anger is peace and calm. And so it is. Blessed be. And our beloved Lori Stead is now going to light our candles. What's she going to do? Oh, she's going to read our declaration. Sorry, clearly I didn't rehearse. All right.
Not yet. No matches for me. All right, there you go. Good morning. And I think it's in here somewhere. There it is. Oh, there's even my name is Lori Stitt. a licensed science of mind practitioner serving the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Dr. Ernest Sherlock Holmes ultimately came to believe in a core concept, what he saw as a golden thread of truth that ran through all of the world's religions, as well as in science and philosophy. Through his research, Dr. Holmes created a structure of concepts based on the religions and philosophies of human history, sometimes correlating his findings with the then emerging new physics. He named the teaching a science because he believed that its principles were scientifically provable in practice. He wrote, "I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have them repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered." In 1921, Dr. Holmes published the following statement of beliefs. Let's read them together now. Do you guys have it? Okay, cool. "I believe in God, the living Spirit, Almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but not as absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. I believe in the incarnation of Spirit in all, and we all are incarnates of the one Spirit. I believe in the eternity and the immortality and the continuity of the individual soul, forever and ever expanding. I believe that heaven is within me and that I experience to the degree that I become conscious of it. I believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. I believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. I believe that God is personal to all who feel its indwelling presence. I believe in the direct revelation of truth through my intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. I believe the universal Spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that I am surrounded by its creative mind, which receives the direct impress of my thought and acts upon it. I believe in healing of the sick through the power of the mind. I believe in the control of conditions through the power of the mind. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. I believe in my own soul, my own spirit, and my own destiny, for I understand that the life I live is God. Amen, and so it is. Thank you.
We're doing this together, sister. All right. Okay. To the left. So we are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic lives, authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures. We intentionally promote our community and teachings. So one of the things that we do, and we will do this morning, is we put our practice of inclusion into action in our inclusion candle lighting ritual. We light these candles to celebrate the unity of all peoples, all faiths, all beings, and all life. So, we light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. We light this final candle We light this final candle honoring infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. And so it is.
Morning, everybody. Oh my God, it's bright. It's like, oh my goodness. I'm Reverend Madeline Wade. Some of you know me. Don't hold it against me. So I just want to do a couple little things here. The purpose of this installation ceremony is sacred, and it's to recognize, acknowledge, and celebrate the commitment between the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living and Julia, and Reverend Julia, the newly selected staff minister. It's a time of bonding between the members, all of us, and the center, the practitioners, the board of trustees, the ministers, and the community beyond our walls, because there are a whole lot of people here. Oh, thank God. It signifies the oneness of creation and expands our awareness in thought that we are all truly one, individually and collectively, for the working, the growth, the expansion of consciousness of this center and the greater community. And now there is no script. Yesterday, we were privileged to be at Julia's graduation in Napa. And Julia and I stole a minute or so. We've known each other over 20 years. Seaman's Lodge in Pioneer Park is probably where I met you. And Reverend Terry Shea was the minister at the time. Some of you in this room were here too. And then we moved to the Grange out on McCourtney, and we had a little house next door, and Julia became a practitioner, and we would meet in that little practitioner room, and Reverend Sandra Fairbanks was the minister, and we stayed there for years. And then she was instrumental, as well as some other people I've seen in the audience, in having this building manifest for us. You were telling me yesterday that you worked on the front. So when you walk up, Julia's fingerprints are all over this place, this community. And that is just on the physical plane. How many practitioner sessions did she do? How many classes did she teach? How many high watches? How many amazing things? This divine being in human form is resilient. She's so strong. She is so versatile, creative, and she laughs great, doesn't she? Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we've had such a journey. I mean, it's like, and then I was a bridge minister, so you had to put up with me for a year. And then Reverend Lanny came, and Reverend Lanny sends her regrets. She's not feeling well. She would have been here today to be here speaking as well. So, and then I was bridge again, and she was still trooping on. And she travels, I mean, Mexico, Oregon, just, yeah, a Renaissance woman. That's what you are. You're a Renaissance woman. And I so love you, and you've been in my life for so long. Yeah, and yes, and it's going to be in a new form. And I just want to congratulate you so much. You've worked so hard. You are so tenacious and strong and persistent and, well, okay, stubborn. But we have that in common. So I just love you, and I just wanted to share a couple words. And now Reverend Rafe is going to come up, and there's ceremony. So thank you.
Things are about to get real for one of us. My name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, and I am so honored and privileged to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. A minister of religious science acts in a threefold capacity in fulfilling the ministerial office. They minister to the members of their spiritual community and provide counsel to all who come for their assistance and guidance, directly or indirectly. They serve as an accredited teacher of religious science under the authority of a chapter granted to this center by the Leadership Council of the Centers for Spiritual Living in Golden, Colorado. Every minister of religious science must first have received license and recognition as a practitioner before they can even enter ministerial school. Pause. Just so you're clear about what that involves, that's about 5 years of prerequisites and then 2 full years of practitioner studies with a written exam, and then to sit before a panel of a minister and 2 other licensed practitioners to simply become a licensed practitioner, which is required before you can even apply to ministerial school. She's done a lot of work. Ministerial school is anywhere from 2 to 5 years, depending on the path you take. And for some, it can go longer than that, but that's how it's designed. That is followed by 10 exams? Yeah, 10 written exams, and then a licensing panel where you sit before 3 ordained ministers to license. So it is not a quick, easy, let me hop online and pay $25 to be licensed as a minister path. And today she begins the path to ordination, which is a 3-year path, minimum of 3 years, where you're serving under a letter of call, and there's a whole matrix of things that you have to do and check off. You work with a mentor, you work with a sponsor, and at the end of that 3 years, during that 3 years, you have this wonderful annual minister report. which is code for you will hurt your brain filling out this report of everything that you did, everything that you learned, everything that you saw about yourself that you, oh my God, didn't know was there, and how you resolved it and how you've grown during that year for each of those 3 years. Then when you apply to be considered for ordination, you encapsulate all 3 of those years into a mega report, and then you sit for an ordination panel, and then you are ordained. So this is just another leg of the journey where things just got real. Official notification has been received by Centers for Spiritual Living in Golden, Colorado, that Reverend Julia Robles Scott has indeed been duly licensed as a minister of religious science, therefore in accordance with my authority as an ordained minister of religious science and the senior minister of Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, I now present to the Board of Trustees, the members, the guests of Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, Reverend Julia Robles Scott, to be duly installed as an official staff minister of the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. They think we're done. So is your microphone on? Okay. So Julia, earlier you heard our declaration of principles. Do you accept these principles and promise to adhere to them and make them the basis of your teaching?
I do.
Do you consecrate yourself to the ministry that you will do your utmost at all times to reflect the Christ consciousness within in all that you think, say, and do?
I do.
Do you so dedicate yourself that you will be constantly aware of the Spirit within all people, and that you will see only the perfect spiritual person, perfect mind, body, and in spirit?
I do.
Do you promise to minister faithfully and lovingly to the people who to the people now committed to your charge, and to seek ever to be an example of moderation, patience, and loving kindness?
I do.
May the infinite Spirit, which empowers you, do all these things, grace you with the strength to faithfully perform the same, and to live the vision of this center and the vision of your own creation and the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. So now I'm going to ask our Board of Trustees to stand right where you are. These are the members of Sierra Center who have been duly elected by the membership of Sierra Center to serve on your Board of Trustees. Not only do these board members oversee the business affairs of our center, their individual and collective awareness establishes a consciousness for our entire community. Do you, board members, promise to follow the light of truth, seeking at all times to be aware of what is right rather than who is right? Do you accept Reverend Julia Robles Scott as your staff minister, as a spiritual leader, and a teacher of science of mind and spirit. Thank you. You may be seated. Practitioners, please stand. Reverend Julia knows and understands the role of the licensed practitioner as part of the ecclesiastical team, establishing and maintaining a continual consciousness of the spiritual vision of the center. She, like each of us ministers, know that you carry out most of your work in the great and powerful silence. That the fruits of your work are manifest as demonstrations in the lives of yourselves, your clients, our center, and the world. Do you consecrate yourself to this spiritual vision and practice? Do you promise to live your life in a way that will evidence your commitment? Do you accept Reverend Julia as your staff minister, as a spiritual leader, and a teacher of science of mind and spirit? Thank you. You may be seated. By the power vested in me as an ordained minister of religious science by Centers for Spiritual Living in Golden, Colorado, I welcome you with such an open heart as our new staff minister. So now I'm going to turn it over to our musicians for the pre-talk song that Reverend Julia has selected to prepare her to then bring us our Sunday message.
Congratulations! Woo! I thought about taking that path, but I do not like homework and school, and oh my goodness. If they figure out some other way where I can just do it in songs, then we'll talk about it. So this song is called Mountaintop, and I really love that you chose this because one of the things we're passionate about is science of mind principles and spiritual activism and helping create a world that is peaceful, where bombs are not dropping and such. So this song is about standing up on, we call the mountaintop, and speaking up for peace. And what we mean by the mountaintop, in this case, would be my microphone. In your case, would be your pulpit. In your case, would be maybe family dinner at Thanksgiving. Wherever you are that people are listening, that you're speaking up for peace in this world, because that's what we truly need.
I think it's that place inside you where you hear the truth. And it's always with you, yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Just like you, I don't know quite what to do except to rise, stand, shout it from the mountaintop. Like you, I'm still searching for truth, but I got the rise, stand, shout it from the mountaintop, the mountaintop, the mountaintop.
Thank you, thank you. It's so beautiful to see you all out there. This is such an exciting day for me. After yesterday was so exciting, and this is so exciting too. And you out there, I hope, Dad, that you're watching from Texas, that you figured out the WhatsApp and the Zoom button. So I just can't even tell you how my cup runneth over. And you all know me, I cry a lot because my heart is so open. I love you all so much. And so when I look out, I see some of you I've known for all my life, my mother here. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that Dixie is here to have birthed me, and she's here to witness this beautiful, exciting day. Some of you I've known since the 1900s, and some of you from 2000 and beyond, and some of you I may not have met yet. But I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today to celebrate this, this beautiful day of celebration. So it was in the year 2000 that I moved back to Nevada County, which I always felt like was home to me because I lived here when I was a kid. And so after settling into the new home, I opened up the Yellow Pages. Maybe some of you don't know what that is, but we used to have a book called the Yellow Pages. And I looked up Science of Mind Center, and I wanted to find a spiritual center that I resonated with. And I had gone to a few Science of Mind churches over the years, and so I opened up the book, and there was this Sierra Center for Positive Living, meeting at the Siemens Lodge, and we've since changed our name. But what I did was, well, I want to back up a minute, and I want to tell you something that happened before that. It was back in the 1900s. I was about 35, I think, I was trying to remember, and I used to work on the highways as a roller operator. And I've had really various jobs in my life. But my boss was flying us to a job site, and we were flying over the Tehachapi Mountains in a 1959 Apache Piper, I think it was called, right? I loved it. And all of a sudden, right in front of my eyes, I saw a vision of myself standing in front of a pulpit, speaking the truth. And I knew in that instant that it had something to do with my life's purpose. So fast forward back to Siemens Lodge. I decided to get in the car and go check out the Sierra Center for Positive Living. I was in a room full of people I didn't know, but they were all very friendly. And I was listening to Rev Terry Shea speaking at the pulpit. And all of a sudden, I noticed that the pulpit looked just like the pulpit I saw in my vision. And I knew in that instant I was exactly where I was meant to be. So, almost 22 years later, voila. Here I am today speaking to you as a minister. So today's talk title is Looking Anger in the Eye. And when I was a child, I attended the church here in Grass Valley on Alta Street. And I remember going to Sunday school and singing, "Jesus wants me for a sunbeam." And at that early age, I gained the desire to be just like Jesus. And I think that may have had something to do with why I said yes to my call to ministry. In 2000, upon arriving at Sierra Center, I had lived most of my life suppressing anger because I didn't think it was Christ-like to be angry. So there I was in 2000, full of suppressed feelings of anger. And part of my recovery journey at that time was to begin to feel my feelings and to begin to allow that anger to be felt within me. And I used to describe it as, my anger would come out so loudly that I could blow the roof off the house. I mean, it was kind of scary. It was like a volcanic eruption. And what I've, you may not be able to imagine that of me, but it was true. I've got a witness. There's a witness in the room. So way back then, I didn't have any tools to deal in a healthy way with my anger. But I was really feeling like I wanted to find the peace within. And I thought that I could feel the anger and get to the other side, and it would go away, and I would heal from that. But that is not the way it works. In fact, we've learned in brain science that each time anger is expressed, it gets strengthened, and it doesn't just go away. Benjamin Franklin is quoted as saying, "Whatever is begun in anger ends in shame." And I remember at times yelling and feeling badly afterwards. And those times when I was blowing the roof off the house, I was really embarrassed because I knew the neighbors could hear. I mean, it was powerful. And so my soul has just been, since that time, longing for that peace within, right? And so I was on this journey to find the peace. I was also a student of A Course in Miracles. And one of the lessons I remember is, you can choose peace instead of this. In A Course in Miracles, we're taught that there are two emotions, love and fear. And if I'm not feeling love, I'm feeling something that's stemming from fear. And at the time, and any time that we have a judgment about someone else, we're separating ourselves from that person. And when I think about it, any time I've had judgments about anyone, I've never been able to feel peaceful. So I spent a lot of time working on forgiving others, but it ultimately has always come down to forgiving myself. And so I was taking practitioner classes also and healing from a lot of past hurts. And I was doing a lot of work to find that inner peace. I still didn't know that well how to deal with my anger. And anger can be like a tornado, right? It can be powerful and strong, and it can wreak havoc and cause great damage. I saw a headline that there was just a huge, deadly tornado that just happened yesterday or whatever. But there was a time in my life when I was frequently having dreams about tornadoes. And I remember this one time I was caught up in the tornado and I was in the eye of the storm. And I was placed gently and landed in a tree, and I was safe. But I remember this other time, and it was terrifying. And it was a dream of a tornado. And God said, "Behold, a tornado." And I was sitting on my back porch, and I watched as the wind gathered in this little circle. And it grew bigger and bigger. And I was terrified at the magnificence and awesomeness of God. And I ran in the house in my dream, and I said, "We've got to go hide under the house. There's a tornado forming in our backyard." It was terrifying. And I learned later that dreams about tornadoes can be a message, bringing about a message of the winds of change are upon you. And that was shortly before the house burnt down, and all manner of things happened after that. So after an anger storm, if we have an anger storm, we may have made a mess of a relationship. We may need to make amends. As human beings, it's perfectly natural to feel anger. And I asked myself, so why do we get angry in the first place? Well, sometimes we get angry because some of our needs aren't met. They're not being met. Our feelings are so important in letting us know that something within us may be calling for healing, or one of our basic human needs is not being met. Just so you know, I make copies of Basic Needs and Feelings, if anybody wants to take those on your way out today. So another interesting belief that I acquired during my life was that I didn't need anything from another human being, that everything I needed I had already been given me, and it was within me. And so it created an interesting way of being in relationship that didn't serve my highest good. But I do know now, what I've learned is that I need each one of you. I need you to be in a relationship with. I need you to teach me things about myself that I wouldn't be able to see without you. I need you so I can learn to know myself better and to love myself better. I need you to help wake me up to the truth of who I am, who we all are. Expressions of the divine in human form. I would think that perhaps we all want to return to love with a capital L. To be in a state of love and peace and to live a life full of love and peace, don't we? Isn't that what we want? In the science of mind and spirit philosophy, we're taught to take responsibility for our life. If my life isn't bringing me peace, it's up to me to do the work within myself that will create a greater sense of peace within me. As within, so without. A wonderful thing about doing the work on myself is that it affects the whole. It affects all of us, for in truth, we are one with the one. We are all one with each other. We are eternally connected through spirit, in spirit, as spirit. So it was in 2013 and 14, while working at Spirit Peer Empowerment Center, that I began to learn ways of healthfully dealing with my anger. I learned about this thing called WRAP, which stands for Wellness Recovery Action Plan. Some of you may know what that is. And I began developing a wellness toolbox, which included some of the ways that work for me, which is like sometimes taking a really brisk walk or journaling, right? So I'm just going to open it up right now to all of you. I'm going to invite you to just share some of the ways that you helpfully deal with your anger. So just state your name and what works for you, and I'm just inviting you to do this because it might help somebody here today. So who would like to start? Yes, Jill.
I'm Jill, and for me, it's playing with my dog.
Excellent. All right. Darla.
I'm Darla, and for me, it's looking out in the yard.
Excellent. Yes. Yes.
I'm Deb, and for me, it's really intense music,
Oh.
followed by big old routine.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Thanks, Bev.
I'm Valerie, and it's singing.
Singing. Yes. Beautiful. Yes, Stephen. Beautiful, Stephen. Avanti.
Hi, I'm Avanti, and I am also trying to become friends with anger. And one of the things that works really well for me is just sitting with it. And I do find that it becomes kind of like a hurricane on the outside, and if I sit with it long enough, I find that calm and peace.
Thank you, Avanti. Yes, Judy. Wash it right down the drain. Thanks. Anybody else? Yes, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you all for sharing. Appreciate that. I found myself getting really angry a few times this year because some of my needs weren't being met. I wanted to flee, but instead, I shifted into becoming the observer of myself. In fact, I was really surprised at how angry I got. And so I became curious as to what was underneath my anger. What fear was I having? This process allowed the anger to flow more freely through me, and then I finished it off with a brisk walk. So I just want to say that, you know what? This is such an amazing time we are living through on the planet. As magnificent spiritual beings having our human experience, I believe there's no more perfect time for us to wake up than right now. What do I mean by wake up? I mean wake up to remember who we are and whose we are. We may have different belief systems about our Creator or politics or all manner of things, but there are things we have in common, and some of those things are a desire for peace, beauty, joy, harmony, love, and abundance. And I urge us to turn away from looking at our differences and judging others, and instead consider making it a spiritual practice to look at our commonalities, our common desires. Instead of separating ourselves from one another, we can come together in love from a place of curiosity, a desire to understand each other's worldview and how our worldviews were shaped. We can bring all of our diverse ideas to the table and find ways to work together to create a world that works for everyone, which just happens to be the vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. And our mission is to wake up humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And I am so grateful to be part of a global spiritual community that celebrates diversity in all its forms and is working to integrate our diversity into new ways of living that can work for everyone. Divine Spirit shows up in all of its magnificence and glory as each one of us on this planet. As we each take part in the evolutionary process of awakening and remembering that we are not separate from our Creator or each other, that we are all connected and one in spirit, as we remember that what we do and what we think affects the whole, we begin to make choices that are good for all of humanity and good for Mother Earth. We are powerful human beings. Each of us can make a positive contribution to the world. We are humans. Hu is another word for God. We need each other. And as the master teacher Jesus is quoted as saying, "Know ye not that ye are gods?" I'm reminded of this quote by Marianne Williamson. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. So let's devote the time to go within and do the inner work that brings the peace from within us out into the world to bless the world. All we need to do is look at the state of our world today to see that there is a huge need for peace. Now is the time. Now is the time for us to find the peace within the storm. Now is our time to shine, to be the peace we want to experience in the world. If not now, when? Let's become the peace we want to see in the world. And so I'm going to invite us to take this into prayer and take these words as your own if you so choose. So as I breathe into this moment, I realize and recognize that there is only one. There is only one infinite power, presence, and intelligence, the creator of all of life itself, the seen and the unseen. It is in, through, and as me, and in, through, and as each one of us. There is only unity in spirit. We are breathed by it. We are alive because of it. We are here on purpose. And what an amazing time to be alive. What an amazing time to be connected one with each other, to hold each other up and walk each other home to the divine. Now is our time to shine, to reach deep within our souls, to find that peace that is always there, that peace that surpasseth understanding. It is the peace and love that God is, and we are that in form. So I give thanks for this life, knowing that it is holy, that we are truly blessed by the presence that is in, through, and as us. And I say, thank you, God. Thank you for all of life. No matter the outward appearances, I know that the highest and best is unfolding in, through, and as each one of us as we continue on this journey of spiritual evolution together. Thank you for it all. Thank you all for being here. As I release this word as our truth, I just say, and so it is. Namaste. Oh, am I done? Okay. I thought of something.
Turn your microphone off, sweetie.
Okay.
Show her a little more love there. That was beautiful. So this is a time where we get to practice the spiritual principle of giving. We are 100% supported by our donations and offerings by expressing the abundance of life in the form of money, because PG&E still expects it. We haven't navigated our way around that one just yet. So I'm going to ask Deborah and Lori to come assist me. You'll take one side and you take the other side. We're still figuring things out with people coming back into the room, so we're just creating it on the fly. So I invite you, if we can get there it is, all right. I invite you to say our prosperity affirmation with me. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Please receive the gifts.
Wonderful talk. Thank you so much. I love how honest and vulnerable you are with it. That's my favorite quality in a reverend.
Yes. Big medicine. Thank you.
This song's called One Step. When we were starting out as a band, we had a 2-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-year-old with special needs. And we would go try to do these shows, and sometimes I would be just losing my mind. Do I have my microphone? Do I have my diaper bag?
loosen up a little bit. So let me give you a little bit of information before we start wrapping up. I'm going to call our practitioner, Lori Stitt, up here in just a minute. She's going to bless our offering and do a closing treatment. And then I'm going to give a couple of closing remarks, which I actually may do right now. Let me just do that. So we have a potluck afterwards so that we can continue to celebrate together. Please hear me. I do not care if you brought something or not. There is always more than enough. And if there's not, get a fork and just cozy up to somebody next to you and get a bite. It could happen. I'm just saying, it could happen. Please stay. We're going to open both doors so we got good airflow coming through. We've got some chairs that we can even sit outside. Please stay. Enjoy one another. Celebrate with Julia. Thank you, love eternal. What you don't know is that they literally just got back from, a week in Hawaii? 10 days in Hawaii doing music and revisiting where they used to live, because they are from Sacramento via Santa Cruz via Hawaii. So thank you for stepping up, because I know you're tired. Thank you, Juanita Bratton, for being the wizard behind the curtain. Thank you, Gary Wade, for jumping in to do our PowerPoint unannounced today. Thank you, Stephen Heiding, for being our greeter and for jumping in and assisting with our ceremony this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Rev Madeline. And thank you, Rev Julia. I've been waiting for a couple of years to say that, Rev Julia. I know, right? My experience is it took several years to get tired of hearing it. And then it was associated with the to-do list that followed. It happens. So most importantly, thank you. Because this would have been very different with empty chairs with pictures taped to them. And I know that because I've lived that. This is way nicer, having live bodies that move and breathe and make noise and laugh and giggle. Thank you. Thank you for joining us to celebrate our beloved Reverend Julia. So now I'm going to have Lori come and do our closing prayer, and then we will do a recessional as they play some music. Give us a second to get these costumes off, and then we will socialize.
All right, I'll bless the offerings first. And just...
slide over to where there you go.
There you are. Hey, there I am. Hi. Okay. So just coming in consciousness of this abundance that stands before me, I'm just so grateful for the generosity and knowing that this is pressed down and multiplied and overflowing of the abundance that comes from our hearts and knows that it feeds and goes out to the world, because we are a tithing church as well, and that our offerings continue, and just living in that blessed gratitude of pure prosperity. So thank you for the blessings that were given today. And then just closing, just once again coming into consciousness and just knowing and recognizing and realizing that one power and that one presence, that one ultimate authority, that loving being that expresses in, through, and as all things. And I just say thank you for just such an amazing service. Thank you for Julia, stepping up and answering that letter of call to be the staff minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. knowing that that is a divine calling. And I'm just so grateful for the music, the people, the technology that makes this possible for more than just who's here to see, and just knowing that it's all divinely blessed. And I'm just so grateful for that as we gather afterwards and just enjoy more fellowship. So with that, I just say thank you, God, and so it is.
Reverend Julia, I feel so honored that you went through our songs and chose them and you wove them. Every time she said peace within, I was like, that song was born in more chaos and sadness and anger than I've probably known. My brother was, he was expecting a son at the same time that I was. They had the same due date, and he was soldier shipped to Iraq, and then his son passed, 3 months, and I was just losing my mind for it. So I went and wrote this song. And I hope that through all the life storms that we can all find the peace within us, right? I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm tired of waiting for those men to find the prophet lies in peace. I'm tired of waiting for human to find the prophet is in peace. We believe now we will see the shifting of our path. If we believe now we will see the shifting of our past. It's time to be the peace we seek and never let it pass. It's time to be the peace we seek and never let it pass. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I am finding peace within, and I am letting it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. It's time to redeem our intentions, respect for every nation. It's time to redeem our intentions, respect for all relations. Within our love for all, yeah, we could let the sword get. Without our love for all, we will surely fall. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I know you got it. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I am finding peace within, and I am letting it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. You see, the time now is unfolding, and life's within our grasp. I Said the time now is unfolding and life's within our grasp. Within love lies the answer to everything we ask. I said within love lies the answer to everything we ask. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right out. I'm gonna find the peace within. I'm gonna let it come right